sooner than our retirement date, I can tell you that.
Yeah. And having somebody who, if it works out that way, who knows that they're gonna be coming on strong, they're likely to, best foot forward, extra effort right from the start, so I think it'll serve us.
He'll be doing the budget, so he'll be doing his budget.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of things that come into play.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to get your feeling about that.
I put a lot of stock too in that Evan feels very strongly that Gary would do a good job.
I mean, why hide it? Why hold
Trust
on your
Evan.
cards any longer than necessary?
Yeah.
And
Well, I
they did
think-
that in Hamilton too. They let the deputy chief, because they liked him so much. And when I was the town manager there for that period of time, they wanted him appointed, so we appointed him several months before the chief left. So they could have that transition and the department knew. And
They're
so,
effective May 1st or la.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
The salary doesn't change, but you know you're not having it, so. That takes care of the agenda except for minutes. Shall we take a moment and just do
Sure,
those?
can I just ask where we stand with facilities? We didn't talk at all about the facilities, I know.
We're getting a facilities report at the
Yep.
next meeting.
Okay.
If it's critical we do something, I think we'll still be working on this and we'll put it up.
Yeah, you're getting a report then. There'll just be a couple things. For the next meeting, town administrator job description update, I've sent something out to you with some recommendations. A workplace violence policy, we've got something, but not really comprehensive, and this one was done by Copeland and Page. We did it,
That's 2 meetings from now, or
on
not
the
this
9th,
Monday,
next
but
one.
then
Yeah.
On the
next
9th,
one
yeah.
after that one.
And then the cable franchise renewal process, and then some contracts and some appointments to police and fire. But also the Dude Solutions report that Paul put together, and I think I found that somewhere. You sent it to me.
Just as an update, we have the assessment, we've gotten all the feedback from the buildings, and there are some errors, so Paul and I will be reviewing that with EMG, who wrote the assessment, and then they will turn around and give us a final. We do not have a final report right now.
But they will have for.
I hope so, yeah, this is the first I knew that, so.
Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
It's
Oh.
fine,
Well,
it's fine,
it needs to get done.
yes, and it's very lengthy, it's 152 pages
Really?
at this point,
And that will contain the state of the buildings and what needs to be
Yes.
done?
everything.
Okay, so there's also the issue then of who is the facility director, so to
So-
speak? What person coordinates all those activities?
So
Okay.
the way it will work is that facility
Thank you,
do
Robin.
inputs all of
See you
this, all this information into, it's in a program, and there is one person per building that is the, for lack of a better word, administrator. And so anything that is going on in that building, people can write and put that there's a task that needs to be done, there's a toilet that's running. And it goes and, certain people will have it that they can put it in there, and then that person that is in charge of that will either send it to a facility person, or they will have to deal with that particular task. I might not be explaining this that well. But anyway, but Paul, who is the facility maintenance guy.
consultant.
Huh?
He's our consultant.
Well, he is the one that has been working with EMG and Facility Do to get all this information in a nice little package for us. And he's done it before with School Do, so he knows how the program works. So somebody writes that they have a faucet, then somebody will call a plumber. But right now, how it's working is that all the buildings have their own plumber, electrician, and it's not consolidated, so everybody just calls who they know and who they like. This way we're getting it all into a consolidated set of vendors that we'll be all using, and that it's just easier. There's a lot of consolidation going on, so when you talk about all of these bringing things under one roof, this is part or one piece of it, which is the facilities. And most of the facilities, they are old, and what needs to be done is identified in this in this report, in this assessment. The assessment has two pieces. I mean, basically it's to fill this database for the workloads and for the figuring out when things need to be repaired. But it also shows you how old things are and when they should be replaced or they're gonna go.
expected lifespan,
Expected
roofs
lifespan,
and
yeah.
So
caulking
the
and doors.
last time I talked with Kelly about it, she was talking about looking into regionalizing again, where we have a
So-
person service a couple of towns to reduce our costs, but they're the person who oversees and makes sure to have that high level that says, okay, this roof is going to need to be replaced. I'm prioritizing amongst the various buildings. It sounds like now instead there'll just be one person in
So on
each
the
building.
regionalization on the IT as well was a bigger, that's a bigger umbrella.
This is a smaller bite you're
So,
talking about.
But yeah, honestly,
Okay.
I'm just dealing with the IT as far as our building, our town buildings and our town buildings as far as facility and for IT. A bigger, broader scope is Kelly's vision that we don't have a janitor or facility maintenance guy, and that it could be somebody that could do this job, that could do it for several different towns. So
Okay,
that's
so-
a bigger, huger,
Yeah, there's,
that's a bigger piece.
there's an update that goes beyond that. I've been talking
Yeah,
with
I'm
Brad
just-
Hill about an idea to put together essentially a consortium, a little bit like Mass School Building Authority, but for towns, and to get state or regional within the state contracts for certain services competitively built. And the state would monitor compliance, but towns would end up getting the lowest cost, so that you could get a roofing done, paving done, things like that. Instead of having to go out and be a one-off and so on, these organizations would commit to doing up to a certain volume, nonstop, whenever you need it, and just be a matter of scheduling it in. You know what you're gonna pay before you ever build, before you ever sign the contract. So there may be some improvements that are coming down.
That's a little bigger than my little world.
Well, yeah, but it's,
No offense.
but everything is moving that direction
Oh,
right
no,
now,
I
which
agree
is
with
gonna
that,
be,
it's,
when it talks about saving money, that's potentially a big savings.
right.
Do you know to what extent the work that was done in 2013, we got a $50,000 study,
DRA, the
was
DRA.
used by Paul in this?
So the
regard?
DRA report is still, the DRA report showed where our buildings were, and the individual buildings, like the fire department is
Yep.
going through and saying, well, my ADA, and picking out what they can afford and what is needed.
He's working on it, you said,
Not
picking out?
Paul, no,
No.
not Paul. Individual buildings, like the police chief knows that the DRA report showed this was failing. Nobody, that was a huge amount of money, and, but that just also shows what was failing at that time in 2013.
So
Now
the
we're
only
doing
question
it
was,
again,
has Paul been looking at that at all?
No,
That
that's-
was not an input at all?
No,
Okay,
because
that
now
was the
we
question.
had a new assessment done on the buildings, not as intense as the DRA report was.
And that's what Paul did?
Not Paul, Paul didn't do it, actually Kelly had facility dudes do it. Paul was
The
only,
software company did the
had-
work as part of implementing
right,
facility dude?
facility dude.
Okay,
Paul
thank
is
you,
Paul
got
is
it,
only
got it,
my conduit with facility dude.
okay.
Then going forward, Donna, and it might be in this report, that database is filled. We know the state of every building and what might be coming up, what's been done, it's all in the database. There's a person for town hall, is it you, who is the one who then says, I'm coming to put in a budget request because I need a new window and I have a leaky
Right.
roof. And someone from the library will be coming
Right.
saying that they have something, and
Right.
someone from
Right.
police and from fire.
But the facility management person would be taking care of if the toilet leaked. Like,
Who's
there's,
the facility management person? A
that's,
vendor?
that's Paul.
Okay, and he's only here as
He's
a
only gonna-
consultant for a
Well-
period of time, because when I talked with him the other day, he said, I'm not the guy going forward, I'm helping them get
Right.
this up and running. I'm not your guy that you go
This is
to,
Paul you're talking about?
yeah, as your facilities guy when
Well, what
something
he's
goes
doing
awry.
is taking all the information and he's trying to
Getting it set
consolidate
For someone
for
else.
someone else
And
that
who is that
can-
someone else?
Well, not me, but
That was my question, so.
We don't have that person identified.
no, that you
And
don't.
we don't have a centralized system of doing this. It's if Chief Hagman has a running toilet and a leak in his office, he calls up the plumber that they call up. And that plumber comes in and does it, the bill gets sent to the town.
So what this will do though, it will show that this toilet has leaked in September and
Yes,
October,
yes,
and
yes.
then it's time to change the toilet.
Yeah,
So it does take, it is building an historical database of the stuff inside of a building. I'm not very,
Yeah, I got you, no, very well put,
So
got it.
it is, and Steve Clifford swears by it for the 6 schools that he deals with. The janitors write in a task, they write in, say that the toilet in 438 whatever is leaking, and then Steve Clifford sees what it is, he decides, that it's bad enough, and he calls a plumber to go and to fix it. Because he's gotten an order from that building to say that there's something wrong that needs to be dealt with. And then he can see that over time, and he swears by it, that it can really tell you where you need to replace it, like the libraries, the condensation.
Because that was
it's the one
discussed
place to
before.
look and see all the buildings, that's what we
Yes,
don't have.
we don't,
And so,
as a maintenance thing.
yes, a maintenance thing, and so if you're looking at trying to do some kind of work, you can look and see what else. You can sort by the kinds of problems and see all the
Yeah, I
plumbing work, and
understand
then
that.
say, let's call the
What I'm
plumber and
saying
do
is,
this.
who is the person who's doing the seeing? Right now, Steve Clifford does it for 6 buildings.
He's
And
a
the dis-
facility guy.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
discussion that we were having before was possibly use Steve Clifford
Yeah.
and increase his responsibility and salary, possibly regionalize, possibly get a person. I was just trying to inquire as to where that discussion was. I understand we have the database, we have better data, and now we are centralizing on the vendors to get a better price, and hopefully, as you said with Brad, something even better long-term. But we haven't answered the question of who is that person who's overseeing all this data now going, that toilet needs to be replaced, that'll be in this year, I can wait 2 years for those sinks and that window. I was inquiring as to the status of, have we made progress on that person?
So the 25,000 that was awarded in the last, and this is for Paul, and he does do that, he's helped Laura and I tremendously on what's going on with these 2 buildings. So he has been out, if we have a year contract with them, if he doesn't want to renew or whatever. So
I can see
can't
Paul
say that.
looking at the data and saying, you really have to think about using a new system in the library for this, or replacing these toilets in the library or the town hall or whatever it is, at some level, at a high level, once a month, once a year, looking at it and saying that. I think the other question that you have though is, when somebody writes a ticket that says the toilet is leaking, who receives the ticket and responds to get somebody to go fix it? That's the person you're talking about,
What is
right?
the
They would
data?
do,
That's Paul right now.
it would do both, but yeah, but
Well,
in
it
talking
is-
with him, it sounded like he wasn't continuing. He was doing this while he helped you guys set up, but
It could be a different
maybe I
person though.
misunderstood.
I mean, he is helping, he went over and helped with the condensation that was over at the library. He helps me with things that are going wrong here. I mean, basically, I give him a honey-do list when he walks in the door and says,
Are you still setting up the system or is it done?
he's setting it up.
He's
with-
still setting it up. Okay, that's what I understood, that
Yes.
while he's setting it up,
He
he's
is-
here to do
yeah.
that. But he's not the guy going forward.
I
But,
can't speak to that. But, I mean, I do keep him busy with certain things. I mean, he helped me with the cleaning contract and got all the data and from all the different departments and the buildings, and, he's helping with a lot of the stuff with all the other buildings.
okay, I just didn't know.
What I have for him next. Sorry, I
Thank
didn't mean
you.
to go
Thank you,
on.
Donna.
That was way too much.
Shall we review and vote on the minutes? Lynn, would you like to read this section?
Yeah, so the first one is June 26th. It was a work session.
Okay, so I sent Debbie some markup. Nobody, okay. The 26th, so was Debbie out
Today,
today? Oh, I sent it, I said about 1 o'clock last night. Oops,
Some
okay.
people aren't awake.
Okay. All right. All right, now the 26th, it says, at the first paragraph, of the town hall staff, Chief Collins Brown. It's not typically the way we do it. I would say, just strike the beginning part and say, Fire Chief Collins Brown was also in attendance. That's typically kind of the way we would say that. I'm sorry, yeah, next. Oh, just since we have it open already, it's a nit. It's just a possessive on the selectmen's goals. I can show Debbie where that is. The apostrophe was in the wrong place. It wouldn't normally mess it up. But, and then put a question mark after other department heads where the selectmen's goals.
I don't know where you are.
Yeah.
I have no idea where you are with that.
So that's just.
If it's just a question mark and an
Yeah,
apostrophe,
right.
that's fine.
If these
Okay.
are,
On
yeah.
page 4, Robin Crosby, second line down, there's 2 ands, take out one of the ands. Wouldn't know what these things.
Second line down, I'm sorry. Where? Page 4, what paragraph?
Is page 4, the second line
second line
down
on the end
from
there,
the top.
least and on.
Oh, got it, okay.
This thing's not working. What's going on here? I'm sorry. This thing. Two. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
The main one is that the fire chief is not part of the staff.
I'll move to approve as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously.
Okay, so the next one is July 18th.
18. Okay, on page 2, administrative position, it's formalized, I think is what otherwise it'd be formularized. But we want to formalize the search committee, F-O-R-M-A.
Not formalized, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
and then just change it,
Formalize.
and then change it, so
Change
it's
the
the
wording.
same bold text that you use for town administration. It's a heading thing there.
Well, it's not a separate, that is part
It's
of
not
the
a separate one?
position.
Whoops, correction, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought it was.
you know, I'm not sure why she had put it in caps, and I was thinking maybe she had it that way on the agenda to start, but that is all under the town administrator position.
Okay, all right.
So, it's-
We can just make it into a
Formalized.
sentence than a separate,
Oh, that's the only thing.
Heading.
That's
you've
it.
got formalized,
Okay.
changing U to an A. Okay.
Motion to approve the minutes of July 18th, 1919,
2019.
I'm sorry, as amended.
Second. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously.
Okay, next one was August 2nd. This is the Friday meeting when Secretary of Housing, Mike McNeely, came out.
I have no comments.
I'm okay with that too.
I make a motion to approve the working session minutes of August 2nd, 2019 as presented.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously.
And then the last one is August 5th. This was the regular session.
And so, okay. Under public hearing, on page, what did I remember? Under public hearing,
On page 3.
it says, the 4th paragraph down at the end, it says, fact that Leela's Variety Store is both in the historic district and on Main Street. We established, I'm not sure why, but we established that it is not in the historic district. So I would strike the words, Leela's is on Main Street. That's a fact, but it's not in the historic
Is
district.
it not? I was
No.
remembering that it was. That's
It's-
what
it's-
Debbie had in the
So
notes.
Leela's did go before the historical
Yeah.
commission.
Yeah, I think it is in
There
the
there was
district.
there's a reason that they go to get a, reading as to what it would look like or something like that. It's not in the historic district. The historic district ends at the library and the school. And we had this discussion after that, around when we were doing this. I said, it's not in the historic district. Historic district runs from the cemetery down through the common, picks up the school and the library, and goes out to, just by the fire department there, there's the
So
sign
is it-
right at,
It's a historic structure.
oh, that's a different story.
Okay.
Okay,
That's a
great.
different story, historic structure. There's historic structures everywhere around the town. But it's not in the historic district.
Okay.
And then, I said, I added the words because it's appropriate before the next paragraph. Chairman's Lyons asked if there was any other public comment. There was none. There were none other comments. That's important to put in there to make sure that everybody had a chance to speak. And then, Selectman Jackson, I'm gonna send you this,
Okay.
this thing.
Well, we send it to Deb.
I did already send it to them.
Let's postpone action on this one, and we
I
will,
think
Is it
we're
just
almost
one more
done. I think-
sentence? Because if it's
I think
just
we're almost
that,
done.
that's fine that Chairman Lyons asked any comments.
Yeah,
That's
that's always what you do before you close the hearing, you
yeah,
make sure that
that's
everybody
not a
has a chance to
problem,
speak.
not a problem. Is there
Okay.
anything
Then
else in this thing?
the motion, because of the way we did this, and I'm not gonna argue with KP at this point. So it was to close and then insert, evidentiary portion of the public hearing. That's part of KMP's description of it, so that it's possible to do another closing before the board consulting firm.
Okay.
Given that it's 5:30, I'm going to just make a decision that we
Oh.
will postpone any action on these minutes
Got it.
until
Okay, got
these
it.
have
Yeah, yeah,
been
yeah. Great.
incorporated, and it'll
Okay.
be much easier.
Okay.
'Cause there's-
Just to that point though, that's not what was said for a motion. So we can change the words if you want now,
Yeah,
but it wasn't what was said.
sometimes with minutes, you can adjust them to what the intent was.
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna, let's get the changes made that we feel we need,
Yeah,
and then we
We'll
can
discuss
talk
something.
about
Then,
that.
if we want to check into that, because we'll still be
You
faced
can't
with the
change the
same.
sentence to something that is contradicted by what was said, that's for sure.
And that's,
So if something was said, the safe thing to do is what was said.
Well, the
You
issue
can add
is,
additional to it to indicate the sense in which it was said to provide context, but you can't say something that is against what was said. You
that's
can't.
right, and this isn't against what was said, this clarifies what was done.
Yep,
This clarifies it by adding the words, the evidentiary portion of it.
yep. I don't,
Because obviously, you can't say close the hearing here, and then did nothing else, and then you close the hearing here. I mean, it's like, but if you go through KPs, they talk about the evidentiary portion of the hearing, and then
I
not.
don't think it's a big deal. I don't think anybody in 6 months is gonna look back on this and say that's confusing. I agree, I don't have a problem adding that in, I don't have a problem
I'll hold
adding
you
it.
at 5:30, I'm
Yeah,
okay.
well,
I'm
if we
okay.
don't have a problem adding that in, is it okay then to just go ahead and approve? 'Cause
I'm okay with that.
with those changes, if you've sent them to Deb, because you've got historic district, that Chairman Lyons asked for comments and there were none, and then you put in the evidentiary portion of the hearing, and that's the 3 changes.
Yeah,
right?
there was something else, there was other stuff, I thought we were gonna stop doing it.
Oh, you have other stuff?
No, I'm gonna just
Okay.
do it, let's wait till we get all the other stuff in, and let it go at that, okay? The last thing, normally, I don't wanna get into correspondence, but Dick, you had asked to have this specifically brought up for concern. I went and looked, there's a lot of trees right over there, and one is taller than the rest. Is that what he's concerned about?
So, at this property, we received, so what this is really is, it was almost in our discussion. Shortly after, before Kelly left, she, I think for one meeting, had essentially a list of action, things that we need to follow up on, or that she needed to follow up on. And I thought that was a great thing to do. We used to have it many years ago. This is an opportunity to discuss this. We had this at our meeting in January. It was there, it's on the tape, we discussed it briefly.
We discussed removing this tree briefly.
We discussed this letter previously. Mark actually cut the meeting short, he wanted to adjourn, so we didn't really finish the discussion. But after the meeting, right then and there, I said to Boyd, I said, so he said, yeah, I'll take care of this with our tree warden, Dave Bond. So I said, great, okay. So here, 6 months later, 8 months later, comes up, and another limb has fallen, nothing's happened, whatever else. So I've included it, but the point is that I think we need to have something where it's clear, any correspondence that comes in, and I think Doug does this, at least responds to the fact that we received it. Now we need to have some kind of tracking that says, what did we do about it? Nothing, something, can't do anything, you know, whatever the case may be. I think we need to kind of trap things and make sure they
Let's
don't
work
fall
on
through the
that with the new
cracks.
TA.
So that was an opportunity because of what happened.
Yep.
Now, my understanding is that Dave Bonds went there, I've, as you have also gone there, and that he's in the process of fixing this thing.
It's a
8 months
difficult
later,
one to remove
after
because it's
another
surrounded.
limb fell on this thing. And remember, that the basis of this was the request goes back a year and a half ago when a limb did come and came through the roof where the guy sleeps, you know, his bedroom. And it was dangerous, and that's why all of this stuff there. That's why we have to respond to some of this stuff in an effective way.
Yeah, I
That's my
think
purpose of putting
that
it in
is
there.
going
Thank
to
you.
be a very appropriate conversation for the new TA and the administrative assistant, Debbie, to help come up with that, so it'll be
Process.
appropriate, yeah,
Good.
exactly, come up with a process on that.
Great.
I think that we do want to be sure things don't get left behind.
Can I make a motion?
If it's the one I hope it is.
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting
Thank you.
adjourned.
Thank you. Sorry.
Great, good, I appreciate that, Dick, thanks. I didn't want to not pay attention to